I used to avoid mirrors and bright light. Not because I didn't like what I saw, but because the wrong haircut had been aging me for years and I couldn't figure out why. Today I'm walking you through 7 rejuvenating haircuts that don't just soften your face. They change how rich, elegant, and put together you look the second you walk into a room. These aren't trendy cuts that'll look dated in 6 months. They're the kind stylists reach for when a client says, "I want to look like myself again, just better." I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50. So you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every single week. Part 1. The cut that's quietly adding years without you knowing. Here's something most women never hear from their stylist. Hair that's just a little too long past a certain age doesn't read as youthful. It reads as tired. Long, straight, one-length hair pulls the whole face down. It drags at the jawline, flattens the crown, and does the exact opposite of what you want it to do, which is lift you up, not weigh you down. I know that sounds harsh, especially if you've had long hair your whole life and it's part of how you see yourself. But think about the last few photos where you felt like you looked older than you wanted to. Chances are it wasn't your face. It was gravity working against a length that no longer supports your bone structure the way it did at 35. The recognition moment is usually quiet. A woman will catch her reflection in a shop window, at an angle she doesn't control, and see the drag at her jaw before she sees anything else. That's the moment. Not a big dramatic realization, just a small, sinking, "oh." The fix is a shoulder-grazing cut with soft, face-framing layers that start at the cheekbone. Not a chin-length bob, not a pixie, something in between that gives your stylist room to build lift at the crown while softening everything from your cheekbone down. The layers do the heavy lifting here. They break up that solid, heavy curtain of hair that was pulling your whole face south. And instead they create movement that lands right at the points of your face that benefit most, your cheekbones and your jaw. Here's exactly how it works when you sit down for it. Your stylist will start by establishing a base length, usually somewhere between your collarbone and your shoulder, depending on your hair's natural texture and how much movement you want. From there, the layering begins around the perimeter, shorter pieces near the face, gradually blending into the base length toward the back. If your hair has any natural wave or bend, this cut will show it off instead of fighting it, because shorter layers move more freely than one heavy length ever could. The part of this fix that surprises people most is what happens at the crown. A good stylist will also thin and layer through the top section, not just the sides, because that's where volume actually starts. Flat hair at the crown is one of the fastest ways to look tired, no matter how good the ends look. Building even a small amount of lift there changes your entire silhouette from the front. Now here's the part that actually matters, the result. Women who make this switch don't just say their hair looks better. They say people stop asking if they're tired. That's the tell. Nobody comments on a great haircut directly. They just stop asking if you're okay, if you got enough sleep, if something's wrong. The heaviness that was reading as fatigue disappears, and what's left reads as lifted, alert, and put together, which is a very different message than the one long, flat hair was sending without your permission. There's a second surprise most women don't expect until it happens to them. This cut also changes how your jewelry and collars photograph. When hair is heavy and long, it swallows earrings, it swallows the neckline of a blouse, it swallows everything you're wearing above the waist. The moment layers open up around your jaw, suddenly a simple pearl stud or a soft cowl neck actually gets to be seen. You're not doing anything different with your wardrobe. The haircut is just finally getting out of its way. If you're worried about losing length you've had forever, most stylists can take this gradually over 2 or 3 appointments instead of all at once, so it never feels like a shock in the mirror. But even a single well-placed session, done properly, tends to feel less like a loss and more like a reveal. The face you already had, just no longer hidden under extra weight. The swap is simple to picture. Before, one length hair past the shoulder, flat at the crown, dragging visually at the jaw. After, shoulder grazing layers, lift at the crown, soft movement framing the cheekbones. And once you see that difference side by side, you understand why this is the fix stylists reach for first, before color, before product, before anything else. But there's a second cut. And this one has more to do with what your hair is doing at the front of your face than the length at all. and it might be the one you're actually guilty of right now. Part 2. The fringe nobody tells you about, and the layer that's fighting your face shape. Most women think a fringe is an all-or-nothing decision. Either you commit to a full, blunt bang, or you avoid the whole category entirely because you're scared of looking like you're trying too hard to turn back the clock. But there's a version of this that almost nobody talks about, and it's the one that actually works in your favor after 60. A soft curtain-style fringe that parts naturally around the face isn't really a bang, in the traditional sense at all. It's closer to a face-framing layer that happens to start higher up. And the reason it works so well as you get older is that it draws the eye immediately to the softest, most flattering part of your face, your eyes and your cheekbones, and away from areas that naturally lose some structure over time, like the lower jaw and neck. Here's the part that surprises people. A curtain fringe isn't cut straight across like a childhood bang. It's cut at an angle, longer at the outer edges, shorter toward the center part, so it grows out gracefully instead of turning into an awkward, in-between stage that makes you dread every appointment in between. The recognition here usually comes from a specific memory, not a general feeling. It's the moment a woman looks at an old photo from her 30s or 40s and realizes her face used to have more visible structure at the temple and brow, and somewhere along the way that structure softened, the way skin naturally does, and nothing in her current haircut was compensating for it. The fringe is that compensation. It reintroduces definition right where the eye naturally lands first in any photo or conversation, which is your upper face. Now this only works when it's paired with the right layering underneath, and this is where the second half of this fix comes in. If your hair underneath the fringe is still cut in one blunt length, the fringe ends up looking like an accessory sitting on top of the wrong haircut, instead of one cohesive shape. What you actually want is layering that continues from the fringe all the way back through the crown and down the sides, so the whole head of hair moves together instead of having one soft, wispy front and one heavy, static back. Your stylist will typically work from the front section back, using the fringe length as the shortest point, then building layers that graduate longer as they move toward the crown and nape. This creates what's sometimes called a halo effect, where the shortest, most movement-driven pieces are closest to your face, exactly where you want the eye drawn, and the length gradually extends as it moves away. The result women report with this combination is specific and consistent. They say strangers hold eye contact longer. That sounds like a small thing, but it's not. When your haircut draws attention to your eyes instead of your jawline or neck, people naturally look there first and stay there, which changes the entire tone of a first impression, from evaluating to engaging. There's a practical bonus too. A curtain fringe paired with graduated layers requires far less daily styling effort than most women assume. Because the pieces are already cut to fall naturally around the face, you don't need a round brush and 20 minutes to get the shape. A quick pass with your fingers while the hair is still slightly damp, letting it air dry into its natural fall, is often enough. That's a real relief for women who've spent years feeling like a younger haircut meant more maintenance, not less. If you've been hesitant because you're picturing a heavy, blunt fringe from decades ago, let that image go. This is softer, more forgiving, and grows out without the awkward stage that made so many of us swear off bangs the first time around. The swap here is easy to picture. Before, no fringe, flat structure at the temple and brow, one static length underneath. After, soft curtain fringe angled longer at the outer edges, graduated layering flowing back through the crown, movement drawing the eye upward and in. Once you see it, you'll understand why so many stylists call this the most underused rejuvenating cut in the book. Here's what almost nobody mentions next. The haircut that actually solves thinning at the crown isn't the one you'd expect, and it has nothing to do with length at all. Part 3. The volume trick hiding in a haircut, not a product. Every woman I talk to who's dealing with thinning at the crown has tried the products first. The mousses, the root lifting sprays, the thickening shampoos. And most of them work a little, for about 4 hours, until gravity wins again by lunchtime. What almost nobody tries first is the actual haircut that's built to create the illusion of density, because most of us were taught that volume comes from a bottle, not from scissors. The truth is the opposite. A cut with strategic internal layering, cut short at the crown and gradually lengthening outward, does more for the appearance of thickness than any product on the market, because it changes the physical weight distribution of the hair itself, not just how it sits for a few hours. Here's why this works mechanically. Hair that's all one length, even shoulder-length hair, has weight concentrated at the ends. That weight pulls everything down, including the roots, flattening the crown over the course of the day, no matter how much lift you create in the morning. When a stylist removes weight specifically from the underlayers near the crown, there's simply less pulling the top section down. The hair that's left at the roots has room to stand up on its own, without a single product involved. The recognition moment for most women isn't about thinning exactly, it's more specific than that. It's the moment she notices her scalp is more visible at the part than it used to be, especially in overhead lighting, like at a restaurant or under a bathroom-style vanity light at a friend's house. That specific lighting is unforgiving, and it's usually the first place this becomes impossible to ignore. The fix, in practice, looks like this. Your stylist will section off the crown area first and cut an internal layer significantly shorter than the surrounding hair, sometimes as short as 3 to 4 inches depending on your overall length, essentially building a hidden layer of scaffolding underneath the top layer you actually see. That shorter internal layer has less weight, so it sits up and out, creating lift that the visible top layer then rests on top of, like a cushion. This is different from just adding layers in a general sense, which a lot of women have already tried without much luck. Generic layering throughout the whole head can actually make thin areas look thinner, because it removes bulk everywhere evenly. This technique is targeted specifically to the crown and root area, leaving the mid-lengths and ends fuller and heavier by comparison, which is exactly the opposite of what most layering does, and exactly what a thinning crown needs. The snapback result here is one I hear constantly. Women say they stop reaching for root lift spray in the morning entirely, not because they're being disciplined about it, but because they genuinely don't need it anymore. The volume is already built into the shape of the cut itself, so it survives the whole day, through humidity, through hats, through long car rides, in a way that a product applied at 8 in the morning simply can't. There's an emotional layer to this too that's worth naming directly. A lot of women interpret thinning hair as something happening to them, something they have no control over, and that feeling of powerlessness is often worse than the actual thinning itself. Discovering that a haircut, something completely within your control, can visually correct for it, hands a piece of that control back. That shift matters more than people expect going in. One more detail worth knowing. This technique works on straight, wavy, and curly hair types, but the exact placement of the internal layer shifts depending on texture. Curlier hair typically needs the shorter internal layer placed slightly higher, closer to the crown itself, because curl pattern naturally adds its own lift. Straighter hair needs the internal layer to start a bit lower and wider, so there's more surface area working to counteract gravity. A good stylist will adjust for this automatically, but it's worth mentioning if you're the one describing what you want. The before and after here is dramatic in a way that surprises people, because nothing about the visible length actually changes. Before, flat crown, visible scalp under overhead light, root lift spray as a daily requirement. After, built-in lift from hidden internal layering, fuller appearance at the root without a single product, scalp visibility gone even in unforgiving light. And once your crown is solved, there's a color decision that either supports everything you've just built, or quietly undoes all of it. And most women get this one backwards. Part 4. 2 cuts that change how rich you look, not just how young. There's a difference between a haircut that makes you look younger and one that makes you look expensive, and it's a difference most women never get explained to them. Youthful is about softness and lift. Expensive is about precision, about a shape so clean and intentional that it reads as effortless. The kind of hair that looks like it costs more than it does, whether or not that's true. The first of these 2 cuts is the blunt, one-length lob, cut precisely at or just above the collarbone with almost no layering at all. This might sound like it contradicts everything from earlier parts about layers softening the face, and in a way it does, because this cut isn't solving the same problem. This one isn't correcting for flatness or thinning. It's built entirely around the visual weight and shine of a clean, sharp edge, and it only works well once the volume and framing issues from earlier are already handled. Here's the recognition moment for this one. It usually hits when a woman notices that even her good hair days don't photograph the way certain other women's hair does in magazines or on well-dressed friends. The kind of hair that looks glossy and architectural rather than just neat. That's not about hair health necessarily. It's about the edge. A softly layered cut, no matter how well done, diffuses light along dozens of different lengths. A single, precise blunt line concentrates that same light into one clean band. And that band is what reads as polish and shine on camera and in person. For this cut to work at 60 and beyond, your hair needs to be in genuinely good condition, because a blunt line has nowhere to hide split ends or damage the way a softer, layered cut can. That's actually a good thing long-term, because it forces a level of hair care, regular trims, proper conditioning, that pays off across everything else you do with your hair. Ask your stylist for a precision cut using scissors over a razor for this one specifically, since razor cut ends soften the very edge you're trying to create, which defeats the purpose here. The second cut in this category is almost the opposite in shape, but built on the same principle. A sharp, geometric bob, typically chin to jaw length, with minimal layering and a defined, clean perimeter. Where the blunt lob relies on length and shine, this bob relies on architecture. It has a clear, almost sculptural line to it, and that structure is what reads as confidence and intention rather than softness. The snapback moment women describe with this bob is almost always about how they're treated in professional or formal settings. They say people take what they say more seriously in meetings, or that a waiter addresses them differently at a nice restaurant. That's not vanity talking, that's a documented pattern. Sharp, clean lines around the face read as decisiveness to other people. The same way a tailored blazer reads differently than a soft cardigan, even if both are perfectly appropriate. What surprises most women about this bob is how low maintenance it actually is day to day, despite looking so precise. Because the line is already so clean, you don't need elaborate styling to maintain the shape. You mostly just need it trimmed on a consistent schedule, typically every 5 to 6 weeks, because a blunt geometric line grows out and softens faster than a layered cut does. The trade-off for that sharp, expensive look is a slightly tighter trim schedule. But most women who choose this cut say the trade-off is completely worth it once they see how differently it photographs. Both of these cuts, the blunt lob and the geometric bob, share one requirement that's easy to overlook. They both demand healthy, well-conditioned hair, because they have nowhere to hide texture damage the way a soft, layered cut can. If your hair has been through a lot of color processing or heat styling, it's worth investing in a few weeks of deep conditioning before committing to either of these, so the finished result actually delivers the sharp, glossy line it's supposed to. The before and after here isn't really about length or volume the way earlier parts were. Before, soft, diffused layering that reads as pleasant but forgettable. After, one clean, precise line, whether long or short, that reads as intentional, polished, and yes, expensive, the second someone sees you across a room. There's one more haircut left, and it's the one most stylists say they wish more women asked for by name, because it solves a problem almost nobody realizes their current cut is causing. Part 5. The cut everyone underestimates because of its name. If I say the word pixie, to most women over 60, I already know the reaction. It's usually some version of "that's too severe for me," or "I don't want to look like I gave up." And I understand exactly where that comes from, because for decades, short haircuts on older women were treated as a kind of surrender, the thing you did once you'd stop caring how you looked. That reputation is almost entirely undeserved, and it's costing a lot of women a haircut that could genuinely be their best one yet. The specific version worth knowing about isn't the short, cropped pixie people picture. It's a longer, textured pixie, with soft, piecewise layers on top that have real length and movement, tapered gradually at the sides and nape rather than buzzed short. This version has more in common with the layered cuts from earlier parts than with anything severe. It's simply shorter overall, which changes the proportions of your whole silhouette in a way longer cuts can't. The recognition moment here is usually less about hair and more about clothes, oddly enough. A woman will notice that certain necklines, certain collars, certain earrings she used to love just don't seem to work the way they used to, and she'll blame the jewelry or the outfit, when really it's that longer hair is competing with those details instead of complementing them. Once hair is shorter, every other choice above the collarbone, your earrings, your scarf, your collar, gets room to actually be seen and appreciated instead of getting lost. Here's how this cut is actually built, because the technique matters more here than in almost any other cut on this list. Your stylist works with longer pieces left deliberately on top, usually 2 to 4 inches, cut with a point cutting or texturizing technique, so the ends are soft and irregular rather than blunt. This creates movement and the ability to style it several different ways, sleek and swept to one side for something polished, or tousled with your fingers for something more relaxed. The sides and back are tapered shorter, gradually, never with a hard buzzed line, which keeps the whole shape soft rather than severe, no matter how short it gets at the nape. This is the detail that changes everything about how this cut is perceived. A hard, buzzed taper at the sides is what creates that severe look people are afraid of. A soft, gradual taper, blended carefully, reads as intentional and elegant instead. The difference between a cut that looks stark and one that looks sculpted. That distinction is entirely in your stylist's hands. So if you're considering this, describe it exactly that way, soft and gradual, never buzzed or hard-edged. The snapback result women describe with this cut is the most dramatic of everything covered today. They say they finally feel like their neck and jawline look intentional, rather than something they've spent years trying to camouflage with length. There's something almost freeing about a haircut that stops hiding your face and instead frames it directly, especially after years of longer styles that were quietly doing the opposite. It takes a kind of confidence to choose it, but the women who do almost universally say they wish they'd done it a decade earlier. There's also a practical side to this that deserves real attention. This cut dries in a fraction of the time longer styles take, often under 10 minutes with just a light texturizing product worked through damp hair with your fingers. For anyone who's tired of 30-minute blow-dry routines every morning, that alone is worth serious consideration, separate from how it looks. If you're nervous about committing, ask your stylist about a transitional version first, a longer pixie or textured crop that keeps a bit more length while you get used to the shape and proportion. Most women who try this transitional step end up going shorter at their very next appointment anyway, once they see how it actually looks and feels rather than how they'd imagined it. The before and after is the boldest of the whole video. Before, longer hair competing with jewelry and collars, hiding jaw and neck definition, requiring a lengthy daily blow-dry routine. After, soft, textured pixie with movement on top and a gentle taper at the sides, jaw and neck visible and defined, styling time cut to a few minutes. Between all 7 of these, from the shoulder grazing layers to this textured pixie, there's a real fix for almost every version of I don't feel like myself in photos anymore. The question now isn't which one is objectively best. It's which one actually matches the woman you already are underneath the haircut that's been quietly working against you. Look at everything you just walked through. Layers that lift instead of drag. A fringe that draws the eye up instead of down. Hidden volume built into the cut itself instead of a bottle. 2 precision cuts that read as expensive the second someone sees you. And a textured pixie that finally lets your jaw, your neck, and your jewelry actually be seen. That's not 7 random haircuts. That's 7 different ways of putting the control back in your hands. And that's worth feeling genuinely confident about. Which one of these actually describes the haircut you've been avoiding for years? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Next week, I'm walking you through the exact words to use with your stylist so you actually leave with the cut you asked for, not something close to it. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.